What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I wanted to dive back into the Week 2 loss during the NFL preseason where the Vikings fell to a final score of 20-12 versus the Patriots. But I do want to dive into 5 winners and 3 losers on today's show. Even though it was a loss, there were some positives coming in from a couple of key guys on this roster. We're actually going to start off here with third-round pick from this past draft, rookie Ty Felton. Now, the number one thing that I love from Ty during this preseason Week 2 matchup is just the flashes we saw. And he had that ridiculous catch on the left sideline. Ball was bobbled in the air. He was able to relocate the football, concentrate, get both feet in. So we saw flashes on that play. But then even at the end of the first half, Ty Felton was running about a 20-yard dig route, and the DB was all over him. It was actually illegal contact on the play. The ball was underthrown a little bit, but Ty was able to get his hands underneath the football, have a really nice catch there. And with the Vikings, again, still having a need for a wide receiver to step up, Ty Felton really showed me some flashes during this preseason game, which is good enough because I'm not expecting a guy to go for 8 catches, 120 yards, and a touchdown during a preseason game. I just want to see flashes, and honestly, I could see Ty, when it's all said and done, where we're doing videos in December and hopefully January this year, where it's like, hey, that's your wide receiver 3. That's the guy next to Justin Jefferson. That's the guy next to Jordan Addison, especially with Jalen Nailor dealing with this hand injury. It's just good to know that Ty Felton just showed us something here in this Week 2 matchup. And we also highlighted a UDFA at the cornerback position, Zamia Vaughn. See, I've been saying Zamia Vaughn. I've heard it pronounced 2 different ways, but PA on the broadcast yesterday did call him Zamia, so we're going to stick there. But I think he showed us some flashes today. He had a couple of big-time pass breakups. He got sticky in coverage a lot, and there was a couple of third-and-long situations where Flores, it was clear, hey, we're running press man. We're bringing 6 or 7 guys on this play. Can our corners hold up? Vaughn did that, and I think he is a guarantee to make this final 53-man roster. Clearly, Kwesi, they weren't going to go target a corner, in the 6th and 7th round of the draft because they knew Vaughn was going to be signed as a UDFA, and I think they had hopes that he was going to impress during training camp, impress during the preseason, and eventually make the roster, and I think he's done just that so far. So he looked really special today, and again, we're just starting to see flashes from a lot of these guys. You're not expecting them to be, full end-all, be-all products at this point. I just want to see a couple of plays where it's like, hey, if he can develop off of that, we could have a potential starter here in the National Football League. And a guy that made a play yesterday, how about Miles Price? Had that unreal kick return, an 81-yarder. He was so close to taking that to the house. I wish he did. But he also impresses me over and over again as a route runner. He's out and in-breaking routes. I feel like he breaks them off at the top of the route extremely, extremely well. And he's got a connection with Max Brosmer already. And again, the raw stats for Miles Price aren't going to blow you away, but he at least showed me something today where we can hopefully build off this. I'm sure he's thinking he's got an outside chance to make the 53-man roster, but more likely than not, I think Miles Price is going to be one of those guys. He'll sit on the practice squad. We could even see him, if we don't see him at all during the regular season, see him next year during the preseason. Continuously develops through the Vikings organization, and hopefully eventually he could be a guy like a Lucky Jackson. We're now Lucky. It's looking like he'll be a lock to make a team. Hopefully Miles Price is the next in line. But how about the defensive tackle, Taki Taimani? He looked awesome yesterday. He was making splash plays over and over again, specifically in the run game. He's got a pretty quick first step. I did not really anticipate that, where if he gets his hands on you, he'll make a quick move. He'll get in the backfield, bring the running back down. So he showed me some flashes yesterday. And with how deep this Vikings defensive line is, it's nice to have more true run stuffers stepping up because you got the pass rushers like Hargrave, Allen. They're going to be able to get after the quarterback at a high level. But on those early downs, if they kind of want to rest those guys, have them be kind of third down pass rush specialists, a guy like Taimani, pair him up with Jalen Redmond, Harrison Phillips, I could see him getting actually some rotational reps for this team this upcoming season. So he looked good as well. And, probably the biggest winner from Week 2 preseason. We got to go Will Reichard here. Knocked home a 54-yarder, had a 58-yarder during Week 1 of the preseason, and he was perfect yet again. And, obviously a lot of us Vikings fans were a little concerned with him coming off that quad injury, struggled kicking the ball during the second half of the season post that injury, where before that, he was perfect. So just seeing him get back to his old form, I think is great news. I really have no worries about Will Reichard. I was a little nervous heading into the preseason, but he completely answered that bell so far. So, if it is a game-winning kick Monday night, I'm going to have full faith that number 16 will be able to put it through the uprights. But I say we show him some love here on today's show. Type his jersey number, show Will the Thrill Reichard some love, and type those 16s down below in the comment section. No misses so far during the preseason, which is great stuff, and he's also been just absolutely drilling these, like dead center every single time. So let's show him some love here on today's show. Type those 16s. Now we'll dive into some negative and some losers on the second half of today's show. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about a new product here at Vikings Now, and that is Daily Greens by Factor Form. If you guys want to get hooked up, head on over to factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I've tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I was never going to try them again until I pivoted and tried Factor Form's Daily Greens. Most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens. As the sister brand of Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition effortless. Daily Greens is a greens powder by Factor Form. You look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. And with a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, makes a single-serve pack in water, and you're good to go. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, so they're packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. And in a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked number 1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out some of the biggest names in the industry. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat. We'll hook you guys up with 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show, factor75.com/VikingsChat. Now, a couple of bad takeaways here before we dive into the losers list. The Vikings could not tackle yesterday against the Patriots, and still drops again were an issue. Lucky Jackson had a bad drop, and Chisholm, the Patriots slot wide receiver, he was making guys miss the entire second quarter. So tackling, drops from the wide receivers, an overarching team issue that definitely was not not a good sign heading here to week 3. But the biggest loser I think from preseason week 2, and he may have even lost his spot on the depth chart as the backup quarterback, Sam Howell. Sam Howell was 1 for 5, 13 yards, and had probably one of the worst interceptions I have ever seen in my life. He was trying to roll out to his left, trying to throw the football away, stopped, threw it, but the ball didn't even reach 5 yards close to the sideline, ended up resulting in an interception. He just looked like he had happy feet in the pocket, where the pocket would be collapsing, and he's just pitter-pattering. He didn't feel comfortable whatsoever. Now, the Vikings offensive line kind of got their ass handed to him yesterday as well, but still, it was not a good performance from Sam Howell, especially when you're in this quarterback battle with Rippon, with Max Brosmer. He needed to go out there, and if he had a good performance today, we're probably seeing this QB2 battle's wrapped up. But with how bad he did in training camp, how bad he's looked at Vikings practice, yes, he looked good during preseason week 1, but a stinker yesterday. I think that QB2 battle should heat up, and maybe the backup quarterback's not even on the Vikings roster right now. But another guy, and I hate putting him on here, because I have high hopes from him, and I'm hopefully, he does turn it around. But we got to talk about Mekhi Blackmon. And I think if there is one shocking cut candidate from this Vikings team, I think it will be Mekhi. I don't think it's a guarantee that he ends up making this roster, because you can lock in Byron Murphy, Isaiah Rodgers at that spot. Then I think Dwight McGlothern should be there. I think Zamia Vaughn will be there. And then I also think Jeff Okudah will be there. And if the Vikings decide to only keep 5 corners, I think there is a good chance that they end up rolling with the young UDFAs over a guy like Mekhi Blackmon, because he didn't really show us too much during the preseason so far. And, all the reports out of training camp are like, oh, McGlothern looks good. Okudah looks good. Vaughn looks good. Well, we really haven't heard anything on the Mekhi Blackmon front, so I'm a little nervous that this guy might just not end up making the team, which would be incredibly disappointing since you just burned a 3rd-round pick on him 2 years ago. Yes, it's unfair. He had to deal with that torn ACL, but he also had this full offseason to get ready to go, and he just hasn't shown much. He also got beaten man coverage a couple of times, especially in the second half when the Patriots were running guys who will probably be working at Walmart in a couple of weeks. So a little unfortunate there for Blackmon, but I think also one of the biggest losers from week 2 of the preseason, it's got to be the guys up front. And maybe this is just because my expectations were pretty high for this unit considering they graded out extremely, extremely well during week 1 of the preseason. But I felt like the Vikings offensive line kind of got their ass handed to them. And, the right tackle position, whether it was the third stringer, fourth stringer in there, they were just getting home to the quarterback. The pocket would be collapsing, and just all the quarterbacks didn't feel like they had time to, get the throws they wanted off. And even in the running game, like Xavier Scott, I mean, thank God he falls forward on every single player, else the Vikings probably would have ran for 2 yards a clip yesterday. So the offensive line struggled. I'm sure once those PFF grades come out, it will be way different than what it was from the previous week. But again, still no concerns heading to week 1. Once we get that new 5-man unit, Darisaw, Jackson, Kelly, Fries, Brian O'Neill, all the big fellas up front there, we should be all right. But still, the second and third stringers, not the best performance against the New England Patriots. But if you guys made it to the end of today's show, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comment section so I can see where all the real ones are at. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. See you guys next time. SKOL Vikes.